UKLC is presented by Curry's PC World.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the UKLC's final week, brought to you by Curry's PC World Gaming. My name is Hipbrain, and I am joined by Jamada. Jamada, how are you feeling coming into the final week of the regular split?
Yeah, final week, penultimate day. Man, the table is so jam-packed with so many possibilities. I am super excited. Every game has so much weight this week on who actually makes it into playoffs, who avoids relegations. Even some of the middle of the pack teams can end up in relegations in some funky scenarios. We're in for a banger week, irregardless of actually what happens.
I think we've had a lot of banger weeks, to be honest. Yeah. I think we've been spoiled for choice, and we had 2 super weeks as well, the last week and the week before that. Let's take a step back into the past before we look into the future and look at actually all the action we had last week, Jamada.
Yeah, I mean, bunch of action. London taking down MNM. MNM looked really, I mean, they've been looking very, very disjointed as a team for the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, not been able to pick up a win, I believe, since losing to Resolve in the first super week. So really struggling, and even though we pegged them as most likely looking towards sort of a second or third place finish, they're now in a position where, hell, they can end up in relegations if things don't go their way in terms of results. So eyes on them certainly this week as Resolve versus Envision. You know, Envision looking a little more lively than their sort of mid-split woes, but certainly not looking like the team that were the champions last split. And Resolve eventually just ended up rolling these guys over.
I mean, Resolve have rolled everyone over.
Yeah,
let's be fair. These guys have been so consistent throughout the entire split.
Yeah, they have. And I mean, consistent, exactly. They've not dropped a single game. So I don't think it gets more consistent than that. Enclave versus Bulldog. Enclave, sort of a late split resurgence here. And I'm really happy to see this team finally sort of meet the kind of expectations I was hoping they would sort of live up to as Barrage versus Demise. It ended up being a bit of a spicy one. But Barrage eventually did come out on top here. Unfortunately for Demise, they weren't really able to keep up with the late game damage that the Barrage draft had going for them. They couldn't lock down Tom's Go. KZ, you can see here, kind of just ends up running down most of the team in the later end of that match too. So Demise, they're still, well, I mean, they're guaranteed relegations. I think the best they can hope for is 7th place.
I think the way it works is the NLC teams. Oh no, sorry. They get to choose what UKEL teams they play if you're the higher of the 2 relegation teams, I believe, and the other one just kind of gets what's left over. So there is still something to play for the side of Resolve. But let's have a little look at the standings and see where everything falls as we head into this final week. Resolve 12-0 at the top of the scoreboards. Then it's London underneath them. Barrage and Enclave tied up, and tied up beneath then is MNM and Bulldog. Then it's Envision, and then it is Demise underneath that. I mean, there's a lot of teams tied. There's a lot of teams that can catch up. London, a bad week could honestly put them out of favor if Barrage or Enclave have a good week as well. So they could lose their spots. Let's have a little look at the schedule and see what games we've got coming up in today's show. We'll be starting off with MNM versus Barrage. Then it's Envision versus Demise, Enclave versus London, and Bulldog versus Resolve. Now, I think if I remember right, it's Bulldog who have a really rough week this week, right? I think they've got both
Bulldog
London and Resolve.
London, yeah. It's not ideal, especially in a position where they want to realistically try and take it to a week to give them the best chances of, you know, making it to playoffs. That week being the week you have to pay Resolve tax is not necessarily ideal. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a tough week for Bulldog. Hey, maybe Resolve feel like being a little bit generous today, but I feel like they're a pretty prideful team. They want to get that 14-0 finish. Looking away from that game, though, I think the Demise and Vision game, the fact that they're both the closest to, well, Demise is guaranteed relegations, obviously, and Vision sitting in that 7th place spot. If Envision win, they can at least keep their hopes of staying out of relegations alive. If Demise win, then chances for them to at least try and snag 7th and push Envision down into 8th. So I think that game's going to be pretty hypey. And of course, obviously, our opening game of the day, both those teams, Barrage, MNM, they really want to try and make this final push into the playoff bye.
Well, we did talk a little bit about how tight everything is here in the UKLC. There's a lot of things that could go down. There's a lot of possibilities, and there's only 2 days worth of games left, and then tiebreakers, which I think are all but guaranteed at this point, to be completely fair. So we're actually going to bring in Alex, who is our admin, here at the UKLC to talk a little bit more about what the potential scenarios are right now over the next 2 days. Because frankly, me and Jamada are a bit too stupid and a little bit too lazy to figure it out. So he's done all the maths for us. So Alex, talk to us about what's going on.
Right. Well, as you said, there's going to be an awful lot of tiebreakers. First, we'll get the first thing out of the way. Resolve, locked in first place. They're all golden. No results can affect them now. London, nearly in a similar boat. They're guaranteed playoffs, and the worst they can place is third at the moment. So for them to actually end up third, they would need to go 0-2 this week. They'd need Enclave to go 2-0. And that would force a tiebreaker because they have a equal heading after that point. So they'd both be 1-1, and they'd have to play a tiebreaker match. That's, again, how Enclave can actually manage to get second. So I'll talk a little bit more about Enclave. This is where it starts to get a bit dicey. We have 4 teams with only like 2 points apart kind of thing. So if Enclave go 2-0, they can guarantee themselves third. And the same for Barrage. If Barrage go 2-0, they can also guarantee them third place. It's when we start to get these 1-1s coming in, it's going to be quite difficult, because then we're going to have to take into a lot of cases of head-to-heads. For example, I think this is quite an interesting scenario. If we have MNM go 2-0, Bulldog 2-0, and Enclave 1-1, we'd have a 4-way tie for third and fourth. All teams with the same record against each other. We'd have a 4-team single elimination bracket to play after the week's done. So that could be, well, makes my job a bit harder, that's for sure. If taking a look at Bulldog, as you said already, their schedule this week is not the easiest. If they did manage to go 2-0, which would be amazing for them, they can definitely avoid relegation, and they'd actually end up probably in playoffs as well. If they go 1-1, there's an interesting outcome where they could end up in avoiding relegation, but that would happens only in 4 out of the 256 outcomes that we've calculated. So it's a bit risky, yeah.
I mean, the fact that there's this many calculations going into like the last 2 days of play. The last, what is that? That's 8 games of League of Legends we're playing here. Is it 8?
It is 8, yeah.
It is 8. Cool. For some reason,
really
4 and 4 didn't make 8 in my head for a minute there.
Oh.
This is why I didn't do the maths.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so many options. Is there anything else we need to quickly get on, Alex, before we let you go?
I guess it's worth mentioning MNM still have a pretty good shot actually at getting third. Would require them to go 2-0, but with their schedule, it's very doable. If they end up going 0-2, though, they could be looking at relegation, as they are, struggling, and they're tied up with Bulldog, who also, got a tough schedule. In Vision, they've got a couple of scenarios they can actually still make playoffs because they have some good records, or tied records, I should say, against the likes of London and the likes of Enclave. But the realistic chances, they're probably looking at relegations unless they have kind of a miracle run and the results go their way. And we all know about Demise, unfortunately. They've already locked relegations in.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Alex, for giving us a bit of a breakdown. As we'll let you go now and get yourself ready for all your adminning duties here. He still has to run all the games for us today. Did you understand that? Good. Yeah. Me neither. My brain's scrambled, and hopefully stuff will kind of make a little bit more sense as we go on in the show. But let's bring up today's predictions and see where we think everybody is going to be finding their wins. There's only one prediction which actually matters today, between me and you, Jamada. Oh, look at that. We swapped places.
Yeah. Pigs might be flying. I can't think of any more of those kind of lines. Yes, I have indeed voted against MNM, believe it or not, everybody, for very obvious reasons. I had to put the curse on Barrage. It's really simple. No, but I honestly, I think this opening game of the day could go either way. My honest prediction is still very much, I think, if MNM, because look, I kind of referenced the last bit where MNM went through a very poor run of form in the final 2 out of 3 weeks, but then in that final week they went 2-0 and they made it into playoffs. So, looking to repeat that kind of storyline again, hopefully for the Marshmallow Boys. But for Barrage, I think it's totally reasonable that if MNM come in with the same run of form that they've been having over the last 2 weeks, I would go as far as saying Barrage could just run over them, realistically. So I think it's going to depend more or less on, have MNM fix their issues? Have MNM return back to that sort of week 1 through 3 MNM? And if they haven't, then I think they're going to struggle to actually take this win off of Barrage.
Yeah, I think this is actually going to be a very hard game for MNM, no matter how you slice it. But I do think they are going to be able to challenge Barrage. Hark back to what we were saying at the beginning of the split, was MNM are probably one of the best team fighting teams we have in the league. But it looks like communication in these last few weeks has just not been there. And that's been the big issue is the team fighting hasn't been clean. And I think the problem MNM had as a whole split was their team fighting was stellar. It was honestly incredible, but everything else was a little bit lackluster and a little bit behind the other teams in the league. But they kind of made up for it with the team fighting. But it feels like a lot of these other teams, your Barrages, your Envisions especially, who've kind of had a bit of a resurgence, they've picked up everything at once. It's not like they've worked on their team fighting, they've worked on their macro, they've worked on lots of things, and it's not just been okay, we're now better at macro. All of these teams have elevated their play, and it feels like MNM have kind of just staled out where they were at the beginning of the split. So for them, it's shore up these issues, and it's like it's do or die. A 2-0 week means they could potentially get, was it second or third? I've already forgotten what Alex said.
I think they can only get top third as London are at 8 wins and MNM are at 5.
Well, unfortunately, it's time for a quick break. So we're going to throw some adverts at your face, and then we'll be back with MNM versus Barrage for our first game of the day. We'll see you in a second.
Ain't I mistaken? I've been here before. All my body is aching, shaking to the core. Wherever you go is a heaven, 7/24. Now don't go be misbehaving, but I'm craving a little more. Can't keep my thoughts inside, don't want no place to hide. Can't get you off my mind, all night and day. You always played it cool, oh but I ain't no fool. I know you feel it too, so what do you say? Well, I'ma give it a try, baby. Don't let the summer go by, baby. No, I don't wanna say goodbye, baby. Maybe we should give it a try. Why don't we give it a try? Ain't no mistaken, I'm taken with you. All my body is aching, awaken anew. Oh, I think I'm in heaven it's true. Now don't go misbehaving, but I'm caving over you. Oh, can't keep my thoughts inside, don't want no place to hide. Can't get you off my mind, all night and day. Yeah, always playing it cool, oh, but I ain't no fool. I know you feel it too, so what do you say? Well, I'ma give it a try, baby. Don't let the summer go by, baby. No, I don't wanna say goodbye, baby. Maybe we should give it a try. I wanna think about every time you look my way. I wanna make the most of this high, I wanna talk about every time you wanted to stay. I wanna make the most of this night, so what do you say? Why don't we give it a try, baby? Don't let the summer go by, baby. No, I don't wanna say goodbye, baby. Maybe we should give it a try. Why don't we give it a try?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the UKLC. We're getting ready to go into our first game of the final week. Barrage Academy versus MNM Academy. It's going to be a spicy one. MNM really need to pull this back because it's been a tough tail end of the season for them so far.
Very tough tail end, middle of the split. And it's very unfortunate. We had very high expectations for this roster, especially coming out of the back of week 3. And they've kind of just fallen flat on their face so far. I believe they're on, I want to say, either a 5 or 6 loss streak right now. So they really have to pull it back if they have any chance of making it to playoffs. And for Barrage, more of the opposite, really. They started off not in the best position, I want to say, actually losing the first 3 games of their split. And now they're in a position where they can battle it out and make it into playoffs at that 6-win mark right now, starting off today. They have one of the better chances moving forward, especially if they win this game here. It really does just... It would take a near miracle for them to actually not make it to playoffs. It would be pretty unfortunate for them too.
Yeah, this one win that separates these two teams as we're into picks and bans. We're getting ourselves going. The Gragas denied from the top lane so far. There's going to be the fresh denial as well. Also kind of in a way frees up the Aphelios because most of the time we see the Aphelios, it is paired with that fresh. Kaiser also getting denied here. Pretty much expected stuff as far as the bans go so far. We'll see what Barrage want to ban away next.
Yeah, so important to note, we are on 11.3, so that means the Pantheon, Olaf bans, the nerfs are here. So champions not really as strong on this patch as they were on the previous, so don't necessarily expect them to sort of rear their head too often. That Seraphine ban makes a whole bunch of sense. I know on the graphic at the moment we have a bit of a bug, I think. We'll try and get information on what that second ban is from...
Oh, that second ban's an Udyr.
It's an Udyr? Oh.
Yes. Yeah, and Parsec. Is that what's going on? You're watching it from the Discord stream, aren't you?
I'm watching it.
I am just tearing down the fourth wall here, completely ruining the curtain on
It's not great as
what goes on behind the scenes.
There you go, Renekton makes free. I wonder why Udyr didn't. Weird. It's weird. So the AD carries not really pinched too hard, but Senna on this patch definitely sort of risen in priority, especially with the Kai'Sa gone. The Thresh gone too. The Aphelios isn't really as high prio either. So now you look over towards Barrage Academy, and you'd start to think about things like the Xayah. The Jhin can also be a decent match into that Senna, but you definitely don't want to pick anything too short range into the Senna in lane because you can definitely sort of get punched on quite a bit where just on the AD to AD matchup alone, Senna can just take priority. For now, Barrage are going to lock in Graves for King, I imagine. As, last second switch over to the Ashe. So still sort of meets that criteria of matching the range or at least being a very long range carry. That doesn't necessarily get bullied by the center, and the Graves does get locked in eventually anyway. For King, it's definitely one of his more favorite champions, and he honestly does carry Barrage on the back of these games when he's on Graves.
It gives Barrage a bit of long range engage as well with that Ashe. You can hit the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from downtown, and before you know it, you got a smoke screen on your head. You don't know where you're going, and you're gonna get blown up. MNM, speaking of blowing people up, locking in the Talia for Kazero in the jungle there, so bit of a burst mage for them, and it does actually free up their mid lane if they want to run, maybe an AD mid as well. Kind of mixes up the damage profile a little bit. And there's the Alistar to be paired up with the Senna. I actually kind of like what MNM put together so far.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I'm in an own at the moment on this patch with Senna. You typically see her with, some of the more fasting sort of based supports. You still can, pair up with the likes of this Alistar. It's not like it's terrible by any means, but for now, Barrage, they're going to also just respond with the Leona pick, which, some people I've actually heard over the last week consider Leona good into Alistar. Me personally, I'm not so sold, but Barrage seem to think it's okay, so they've locked that one in for themselves, and Irelia ban away from Tyrex, not too surprised. Honestly, you could even see a target ban Fizz, unless they want to go down another AD mid route, and MNM, they're moving away Syndra from Thomas Go, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see it followed up with a Victor in honesty.
So the final ban's going to be... As like I said, the Victor's open. The Orianna is still open as well, unless they want to take that away. They are going to take the Camille, so it might be a trade-off, a handshake on these mid laners left open. MNM probably not wanting to ban either Orianna or Victor, because it feels like whatever they ban away will just the opposite will get picked.
Yeah. To me, the Irelia ban just says we don't want to play against Irelia. The Camille ban, though, however, kind of speaks to me and says I feel like Barrage are going to lock in their carry or a champion for Aragon, not necessarily a carry. And then they'll actually look towards giving Thomas Go that counter pick into Tyrex, because Tyrex has such a peculiar champion pool. They don't want to give this guy the opportunity to counter pick. I see the Victor banned away. I believe on the graphic it's also banned again, so sorry about that one. As Karma.
Final ban was the victor.
Yeah.
For MNM, but interesting. We see so Karma pick up here. I kind of expected to see maybe like the likes of a Gnar for Aragon, and I feel like DBL is probably gonna be quite happy to take that for himself.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, there's no Irelia, there's no Camille. You're pretty happy to blind pick Gnar here. The only thing that could potentially be an issue is if Aragon R5s this Gangplank, which was banned away from him in the middle of the split quite a bit. Since teams have stopped banning it against him and he's not really picked up, I don't think he's played a game of it since. Or at all the split. So if there was a time to do it, honestly, it's right now. You've got 2 free and mobile champions that really hate to deal with a cannon barrage. And of course, you're into a very positive matchup in Gnar. So if Aragon wants to lock in the GP, it's definitely probably, I would say, the best option. Because Barrage kind of lacking in, how do I put it? They're not lacking in damage, but they're also kind of lacking in damage at the same time. It will make sense if we go into game and Aragon has a tank. But
it's Karma top, baby.
No,
we haven't seen this in a while. Okay, so I'm curious what you make of the Karma top. Are we still on? Well, I say still. Oh, have we gone back to like tank Karma top, where you get like the Spirit's Visage, which empowers your shields, or is this just gonna be Moonstone Karma top?
I imagine into the likes of a Gnar, it's going to be the Moonstone build. I would be surprised to see a tank or a closer to tank iteration of Karma come out into something like Gnar. If it was DBL blind picking something like the Ornn or a Malphite or something, it can get bullied by a tank Karma, then I would expect to maybe see the tank Karma. But I think when you've got a composition like this, Moonstone stuff, Flowing Water has a lot of value. You can buff up the Rise in particular, and just sort of being there as a pseudo frontline with the Leona and so much utility, it can definitely yield a lot of good results in some of these team fights. But MNM, they've got the DPS out of both the Azir and the Senna, and they've got a solid frontline with some burst coming out from the Talia, so they're relatively well-rounded. A little less on the skirmishing side and more towards these bigger team fights around the Dragons and the Barons.
That kind of leans into what we were talking about for MNMs. At the beginning of the split, they were an amazing team fighting team, and they have to kind of find their mark here because this is really important for them. They've got 2 games left. A 2-0 week means they could potentially end in 3rd place, which would be a massive, massive win for them there. Over on the side of Barrage, looking to continue ahead of MNM. There's only 1 game that separates both of these teams right now, so a win here would be super important for them as well. I'm going to be very interested to see how this game's going to go down. I do worry that Barrage, if they fall behind, they don't really have much of a front line other than like a Leona, and supports, you don't really count them as front line unless it's like an Alistar, because they can pop their R for bonus resistances. It does feel like if they start to fall behind in this game, MNM should just have the burst and the sustained damage to just kill them before Barrage can do anything about it. But vice versa, if they do keep themselves relevant in the game or they get ahead, Rise is going to become a menace late game. Ashe is going to have very short cooldowns on that R once more points get put into it. So you have a lot of long range engage. When you have the Solar Flare, the Enchanted Crystallary, you can layer those 2 up. Could be rough here. We have seen Harry has opted into the cleanse in this lane, so is paying some respect to what this Barrage bot lane will be looking to do.
Yeah, very impressed actually. I feel like Carry from last split would not be running cleanse right now, so very good from him. You could also argue maybe T-Rex should be running the cleanse too. Obviously has the teleport in this case, as you'll see once we do have the game on our screen. So, T-Rex could honestly be a pretty viable target, especially against some of these just sort of, you chuck out the Ashars just to fish, right? You see what kind of happens off the back of those. I do worry for Barrage in the sense of they don't necessarily have great frontal engage that's like, it can be followed up on very easily, in the sense of, you don't have you don't have a Sejuani or you don't have a Zac, right? Where it's just, you kind of just commit. In that sense, though, it can definitely be good, especially into a team composition like MNM's where they want to peel back in most senses. So I think Barrage, they're happy with what they are running in that engage side. But we're finally here. Penultimate game of the day, Jake. Oh, penultimate day.
Getting ahead of yourself a little bit there, mate. Penultimate day. I can't believe 6 weeks have gone by. It feels like we've only been going for like 2-3 weeks. It really doesn't feel like this is the final week of the regular season. It It's been great having you, by the way, Jamada. We've really enjoyed having you on the show. Much better than that Orcs guy.
Ah, yeah, that Orcs guy, man. Just tell me about it. It's just always making up a fuss.
Always. He's always complaining. To be fair, if I was from Newcastle, I'd probably be complaining as well. Barrage aren't going to spot out this ward with the sweeper. And actually, maybe going for a delayed invade here. Tyrex has spotted them out.
Okay, let's see how this plays out. I'm not too sold on this late invade.
They're just going to get a lot of poke into them. And MNM, they do finally start up the red buff. As Tyrex is just trying to zone for the moment. Mid laners are the ones really losing out right now. They're losing a lot of their waves. Here comes the invade. Regan's going to get jumped onto. The Ignite's been thrown out. He flashes away. The stand soldiers are there. Regan's burning low, but he's not burning down yet. No. The smite by King means he secures the buff, and KZ is looking for first blood. Down goes Regan.
Oh, it's a disaster start for MNM, and especially the bottom side and the jungle. King's going to take away these raptor camps as well. There's nothing Zero can really do about this, so now he's got a path up to his blue buff, and he's going to be so slow taking these early jungle camps. And honestly, King has enough time if he wants to go and play Disruption on this blue buff if he's really feeling feisty. I have to say that the red buff was below Smite HP for a really long time if we're talking Smite battles. So King definitely quite fortunate to pick that one up, but he does. Not only that, Regan drops the first blood and it goes into KZ's pocket, which is not the person you want to be giving first bloods over to. KZ.
That could have been massively different if Kazira had taken that as well. Yeah. Would have got the Unraveled Earth or the Seismic Shove, and suddenly that fight becomes infinitely harder for Barrage to navigate.
Yeah, and I think also it's going to be important to track mids and how that impacted the mid lane priority. As you can just see here, Regan frontlining for too long, takes too much damage, has the Ignite burning down. You can see what I mean. The Smite was available there on that red buff to execute it for at least half a second. And unfortunately, Kaziri wasn't able to take it. Bottom side, though, ADO trying to take advantage of the level disadvantage the MNM bottom lane find themselves in.
I do think it is fairly interesting. Wow, Case is taking a lot of damage from Harry. Yeah. KDO almost under tower range, but actually juggled up really well so he didn't get hit by the tower. Harry, even though this lane hasn't really been how they wanted it to go, is down 9 CS at the moment to KZ. Has got a bit of free time on the wave to himself, and he's been doing pretty well in this wave, but I might have to hold that as Tyrex now getting jumped onto, shuffles over the wall. He's out of mana, and a threaded volley by Kazero will be enough just to send the pair of them back in as Seismic Shot's going to hit. King goes pretty low. He's burning with that red buff, and he flashes as Kazero finds the kill. The overload's there for Thomas. He flashes forward, but gets himself the double kill. Now KDO being chased down. Regan looking to chase him. Mana's too low for Tyrex. They call it off. Kazero from zero to hero.
Hero even rhymes with his name, and honestly, that is the perfect kind of recovery that this MNM side needed. 2 kills going on to Kazero. You would have ideally liked this is it to pick up one of those kills, but at the end of the day, you're not too fast. It's about the gold being returned and injected back into this MNM side. And it's just King trying to be aggressive onto Tyrex. Thomas Go had the Rune Prison available. They felt like they could try and burst Tyrex down for the HP he had left. Oh, hello.
KDO jumping in, but he's got shuffled back, and Regan's going to deliver him forward. KDO may lose his life. The heal's there by Harry. Finally, KZ gets himself the kill. Seismic Shove comes in, and Kazero continues the fight. King goes, nope, I'm out of there. And Harry gets a double kill.
Yeah, double kill for Harry now as well, and Kazero just finding plays all over the map here. Really over-aggressive from this Barrage bottom side. There's no real reason for them to be going in there. King, I suppose, was on his way, but he definitely wasn't there. Yeah, as you can see, the attempted gank onto Tyrex, and Kazuro's just here. It's just the right place, right time kind of scenario. The Unraveled Earth means that King can't actually move. He can't really dash away, even if he did have the cooldown, and by the time he flashes, he's already lost his life. Thomas Go, honestly, very fortunate to get that last attack off to take down Kazuro. Does mean that Kazuro does end up dropping, and KDO fortunately doesn't drop then, but he drops now as headbutt through that Unraveled Earth. It's enough burst damage, doesn't even bother flashing, he knows he's dead, but fortunately gets that last stun off, and KZ unfortunately doesn't have flash to flash off of that Seismic Shove, and King was on his way.
Kaziro's mad after that invade and losing his red buff. Also, a big thing was KDO got the kill onto Regan, so KZ only got an assist there. And we can actually have a look at where we are item-wise now. The Noon Quiver has been finished up for Harry. Obviously wants to give that Kraken Slayer and at least the Rage Knife to kind of get the major spike on this center build. KZ double longsword and stacking a Cole. So his base timers haven't been quite as effective as Harry's. Up in the top lane, it's been pretty quiet. Mid lane, pretty much the same for there, but Kazero 2, 1, and 2. I'd love to have a quick look at the gold actually and see where our junglers are right now. So it's a 500 gold lead to Kazero. And King actually wasted a lot of time sitting in the bush bot side while his camps were respawning top side. So puts him behind a little bit considering he had a good start and now he's getting invaded by Kazero.
Yeah, I was going to say, Kazero can even take the chicken camp if he wants to. Doesn't quite have smite, but the thing is King's pathing up to the Krugs first. So unfortunately for King, Zero's going to have his chicken stolen away. And honestly, Kazero, pretty big recovery from a very disastrous DK.
Oh, disrespect as well, leaving the chickens, the little ones alive.
Okay, I thought he was going to... Oh, he still is. Well...
yeah, Kazero, that might have been a little bit too eager.
Hey, I mean, he wins himself 24 gold, so...
Woo!
Yeah, big win there.
Rolling in it.
Exactly. But for King on the opposite side, actually, if we could get... Oh, never mind. I guess we're having action on the bottom side.
Instant cleanse out by Harry, and now KDO going to get turned onto by Harry. Bit of heal. The flash comes in. The ignite. The flash back out from Harry. Regan headbutts KZ away to safety. Harry, pretty aggro with his positioning, considering there's a big wave pushing into him. Probably didn't need to burn that. And now Summoner spells are down. And Barrage's bot lane will be hitting that 6 mark fairly soon, so he's going to have to be very, very safe.
Yeah, this is a lane we've just not had any time for this game. I mean, top lane is an island. What more can you really say? But Observer, if we could just get a quick flash on the gold, I'm curious to track the junglers here. Because even though Kazuro was obviously set on that very poor start where he lost his red buff and his chickens, he's finding himself 600, 500 gold up because of all the kills and assists he's found. And typically in this jungle matchup, it's Graves that can find the early pace, and especially if you get late invaded like how you do, you would expect to see King sort of roll ahead in not only the farm numbers, but also the gold and the experience. But as you can see, King's down in gold, but very much equal in experience. But it's just Kazuro finding those key moments where Barrage has been a little bit too over-aggressive. However, Kazuro pathing way to the top side, whether Barrage know it or not, King is just going to start this dragon. It's probably just going to be a pretty free takedown.
Yeah, it's a early card break for them. It's not even, it's early-ish, but it's not as early as some of these teams that stack them for an early soul. As a card break will be nice actually for Barrage. More Enchanted Crystal Arrows, more Solar Flares. Actually pretty nice pickup for them early. And next Drake will be that Infernal. The bot lane, even though Harry got those 2 kills at the beginning, is still down quite heavily to KZ in the CS department. It's going to catch up somewhat on this wave, but even so, it's not really that much. Is DBL playing a bully game versus Aragon? Actually jumps forwards there. Has got Mega Gnar, so will recover a bunch of health here, and fleet footwork in the lane, so DBL has a bit of recovery to work with. As Kazero's trying to cross-map for the Rift Herald, but King's in the area. Although Tyrex is also making his way over. They're trying to keep this aggroed, but it is going to de-aggro fairly soon. Thomas going KDO there. The wall goes up, and this will be their Herald going down. So MNM do make a cross-map happen.
Yeah, it looked very unfortunate for a second. Looked very RNG-ish, but the Rift Herald actually decided to aggro onto King and walked away. But it did expose the eye to Kazuro, so it meant that he could execute it, fortunately for himself. And even the Skull Crab was there, so managed to pick that one up for himself too. Successful cross map in trading those neutral objectives out. All things considered, though, we're pretty much neck and neck. It's 400 gold in it. Pretty much that 1 kill, the difference maker in the gold right now. And I don't really know if it benefits either side more than the other. You can definitely argue, of course, that Senna's got the infinite scaling, and Azir can make life hard for Ryze in the later stages. So the fact that it is like this for now, the gold state, you could potentially argue favors MNM. But it has been Barrage looking for the more aggressive plays. They've just not quite been able to find them, and when they have gone in for them, unfortunately Kazuro has been there. Oh, okay. Well, speaking of a play where Kazuro's here,
gets caught by the arrow. That's going to be the knockup. They got teleports to keep him in, but Harry just CC'd for way too long. Thomas Go will lose his life, and Regan's able to jump away as DBL jumps in. Has got that Mega Gnar coming up, but without their AD carry, it's too rough. And that play was a long time in the making due to Harry burning his flash and his cleanse in the lane earlier.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Harry as well, the cleanse just came back up, so he's not able to actually cleanse away from any of the CC. Drops to this gank, and it was almost a party in the bot lane. Even had Tyrex walking down, didn't have the teleport available to him. It's unfortunately coming up right now, 5 seconds away. And King also making his way. Is that Chinese chess? That's a cool read.
I don't think that's the name of it. I can't remember the name of it.
I cannot remember the name of it.
Is it Pai Sho?
You know what? I'm normally...
Or is that just in Avatar? Is it Pai Sho they play in Avatar? I think it is, yeah, because the Order of the Lotus. Please tell me you've seen Avatar.
I've got some bad news.
Oh, my dude. All right, well, don't worry. Good news. It's on Netflix, so...
Oh, there you go.
I am actually incredibly disappointed in you right now.
I'd be pretty disappointed if Harry dies to this gank. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, they are looking for him, but the chains are there enough to keep him alive, and Harry won't disappoint you today, unlike you've disappointed me.
Okay. I'm sorry. Did they see Thomas go path back in? That's the question. Might not matter.
Oh, looks like they're going to go for him.
Oh.
No, Tarex misses it all. And Thomas just gets the phase rush and runs away. A sad Rift Herald has plopped down, and they've got the members in the area, so they can make sure this charge happens as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow is there. Gold actually can get split out. KDO forced to flash. The Railgun gets fired off, and the Solar Flare lands onto 2. Thomas bounces the overload between a couple of members and doing a fair amount of burst. But speaking of burst, King just loses 3/4 of his health bar. He's going to have to back off now.
Yeah, backing away, and I mean... Definitely a slightly bigger win for MNM than it is for Barrage there. They're going to miss out on a couple of creeps down here, but dropping the mid lane tower so low, especially when you've got a Rise in the game. Definitely very nice. As see Harry now finally making it back to the wave. Going to lose the plate. And KZ, well, no one's really here to pick up that gold. So it's really just the minions lost for the mid lane play, which you'll definitely say is worth for the blue side team as another cool recall. I mean, I think was it you, Will?
Sorry,
was it you or Will? I think I was speaking about the skins with on air last week and how far they've come.
it was me and you, I believe. Unless you had the exact same conversation with Will, which could have happened.
We might have had. It could have happened. To be fair,
I don't know. I don't think I can trust you anymore. You're not seen Avatar, so you can be talking nonsense right now.
True. As MNM actually rotating all 5 members down. On spawn for this dragon. Barrage are going to have bottom side priority for now as Kazero is actually looking for a gank.
Oh, it's time to build a wall, and Kazero gets shut down. Not going to be able to get that one, and KDO.
Yeah.
Great CC chain there, and
Regan has no
there is
art.
no Enchanted Killer Arrow. Regan's going to get jumped onto. Tarex got the Sand Soul just firing away, and that's just going to be an easy pickup. DBL about to gnar out as Aragon gets the tether off. DBL can do a lot of work here. They have to be so careful. No flash available, though, so he's going to struggle to clear that wall. And I think Barrage is just getting a free dragon.
Yeah, free dragon. The important thing is
what were you doing?
Dead. I don't know. How was it? You said you're disappointed in me. I don't know what that was. Yeah, just...
They're just shaking off the old Jamada curse. That's all it is.
Yeah, still shaking off the Jamada curse. We'll get the replay here. Yeah, surfing to death. I don't know what else to say. As even Regan in the top side feels threatened enough to burn the Unbreakable Will. As you come back into frame with...
Oh no, that's a big amount of CC. Thomas is trying to get the bounce off. The soldiers are too much, and Tarex gets the tower and the kill.
Finds that tower. And it does mean, though, that if MNM can find numbers in this mid lane, they can definitely open out onto other sides of the map from that mid lane priority. DBL could potentially be the recipient of a 2-man gank. But fortunately for himself, knows better. And, well, we expected a close game. It's been pretty hardy so far. I think the key thing to note is really neither team is necessarily too far behind one another. And yeah, you can already see the center damage coming through.
Got that Kraken Slayer proc.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, that was through Aragon, who had a shield on as well at the time, so a lot of work coming in there. Barrage, more interested in taking this top lane tower, also turning that into that Rift Herald with us up there. Well, the first Herald Blood has already been secured by MNM off the back of their last Rift Herald, able to chunk it low enough for Tyrex to clean up. It honestly looks like MNM, they're okay giving this Rift Herald over. Looks like they're not interested in even contesting it remotely.
Yeah, so second Herald is obviously worth a little bit less. The flat value of it is effectively just the gold you get from it, and you don't really know guaranteed whether you're gonna get a tower from that Herald, and there's no plates anymore past that first Herald. So for MNM, I'd say they're not too fussed about losing this tower. DBL trying to be aggressive, but KZ's got that Gale Force finished up. As you can see, oh!
If he'd nod out, KZ would have died, but he didn't, so KZ didn't. MNM, though, they're going to make a cross map here, so they're going to trade Rift Herald for tower, but they're also going to take a tower in the bot lane for themselves, and I think they're okay with that. As now Thomas has to dodge away on the seismic shove, is able to do so, but a lot of damage coming out from that bird person as the railgun gets fired off, and we are going to fire a crystal arrow across the map. 2-0. There's a deer down there.
Is it? Oh, no, not the deer. Come on, KZ. We spoke about this. The trade, yeah, as you say, cross map, tower for tower, jungle camps for the Herald. And it's just more or less going to be about how Barrage get value out of that Rift Herald. Whether they use it to secure priority come this next dragon, or whether they're just able to secure a full tower in an area that they're comfortable with. You would imagine it has to be that mid lane. Taking that mid lane tower when you've got the Azir in the game too definitely feels very good, especially when you don't have a mid lane tier 1 of your own, and MNM's mid tier 1 is actually full HP, funnily enough, so definitely gonna be looking towards that one most likely.
Need to break some new ground. Literally.
Brief respite.
Ceasefire. Yeah, I was looking for that word.
Ceasefire is a good word. See, actually, I prefer ceasefire.
Yeah, there you go.
Harry's got the rage knife now, so those crits are on hit. It's kind of crazy for that item gives you that passive.
Yeah, it's something I would imagine they actually tried to take down. Ooh, that's very unfortunate. Gale Force and the dash, unfortunately, from King, enough to escape the Emperor's Divide, as so many picks. MNM are angry, as they're going to try and look for a pick on this rotation. Might be doable.
Yeah, well, it looks like King is just going to go down. Yeah. Harry gets himself his third kill. Of course, MNM are angry. You've been cursing them for the last few weeks, and they want to prove that it was you and not them.
Very true. Very, very true.
By the way, if MNM win, it's true. You cursed them.
It is literally just curse, yeah.
Then you're going to get a DM from Barrage saying, what the hell were you doing? I'm sorry, Barrage. I can't... I have no words for my colleague.
I'm going to get an angry message from Frumi, and then a message from Fresh or Alex or Cal just saying checkmate. Thank you for the
inside agent all along.
As MNM should have priority for this Mountain Dragon, and honestly, it's very good for them to have that priority. Forcing Barrage to walk through chokes when you've got the Azir, you've got Alistar, and I mean, hell, even Kazuro on this Talia should make for very positive outcome fights. And Barrage, they're so slow to this Dragon, I don't even know if they're going to contest properly. They may just take the fight after the fact.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to, but they're not even going to get the option.
Yeah, Herald in mid seems like it's the play for them. They want to try and knock down this tower. Obviously, they have the inside track. See what MNM tried to do about it, because they are going to lose this mid tier 1. It's about whether they get that charge off Barrage to that second tier tower.
It looks like they're going to get it, but the wall comes up and MNM are looking to contest this. The railgun gets fired. Regan jumps in for the pole. DBL runs out of wall time as King has to ping back. The Enchanted Crystal will hit onto Tyrex. The slam is there by DBL. Barrage is held back off that King. What an ult by Tyrex! 3 members go down, and MNM chase for more. Not going to be able to find it quite yet, though, as Barrage should be able to make a grand escape. However, wall surfing there, Kazero not going to commit, and this should just be Baron.
Okay, I mean, finally Tyrex finds the mark on the Emperor's Divide, but the thing is, King and KDO are still here. King can look for a smite still, and crucially, actually, Kazero doesn't have smite right now. It's still on cooldown, so if King can get inside the pit, it's definitely doable, but there's so much manpower in front of this Baron pit. I don't know if King has the nut. Okay, well.
No, he can't.
No, he
can't even get close.
There's going to be a Baron for MNM. It's just the timing of the fight is so perfect for the... Oh, no.
This is actual tragedy striking. The delayed respawns, and look at that sad Graves face down in the river. Look
where
at
it
him.
deserves to be.
Oh, no.
After he dashed forward into 5 people. We have the replay here, though, and the wall is really good. It keeps so many members of Barrage Academy, especially the carries on the backside. And you can see DBO actually hesitates to pull the trigger because the wall drops, but then eventually he turns around with the flash. He finds 3 members into the backside of the wall, and Tarek's finally able to find the Emperor's Divide onto 3 members back into the MNM team. And KDO and King, fortunately for themselves, they're away from the backline shenanigans. They're able to escape, but I mean, King, he's trying, you know? Was it a seismic shove? Maybe that was why he ended up in that position. It looked like from the camera angle that he actually dashed in. So, King, if you're watching it back, I apologize. I'm not trying to blame you. It just seems like he got shoved in by the Talia. But yeah, it's just a fantastic fight for MNM, and it's perfectly timed for them to secure the Baron. And now we just see how Barrage can hold steadfast against this Baroned up team with so much poke, so much sustain from that center. You see the poke damage.
Yeah, KZ lost like
big
chunk. Oh no.
Oh, no.
This might be... good ward. Okay, don't worry.
Foresight.
Oh no, this
MNM
is Red Ward being used. Trying to interrupt, not in time. That could have been
Oh, God.
an actual horror story.
That would have been 3 members shoved back into an unraveled from a Talia. They actually would have all just got one shot.
That literally would have been the base.
Yeah, that.
I actually think with Baron, that would have been the base.
Yeah. Honestly, they had the wave there. It could have just nearly been the whole game. That being said, we are 20 minutes in. I'm quite sure, as that's another brilliant wall from Kazuro. Finally, not actually riding it means it's good. As okay,
everything's
engage.
getting laid in. That might be Tyrex losing his life. The shutdown is there. DBL, no Gnar available. MNM maybe biting off a little bit too much there.
Yeah, I think T-Rex just being a little bit too overconfident feels like the wall is enough to secure his safety. Not really taking into account that the wall isn't necessarily there for too long. So as long as KDO can keep him locked down underneath the tower, the rest of the Barrage team will follow up. So the siege is dissuaded for now.
This is what you were talking about. Tyrex probably should have had that cleanse as well.
Yeah, well, it's kind of one of those things where so many mid laners at the moment are just running teleport, regardless of what's in the game. You only really see mid laners run cleanse if there's things like Pantheon Talia or the Twisted Fate, and they feel like it's necessary to survive the early laning phase. In this game, though, I mean, you've got a Rune Prison, you've got an Ash Arrow, you've got all of the CC available from the Leona. It just seems like it would have been a nice pickup. There, it definitely would have saved him if it was available. But Teleport is so useful for the early laning phase, securing that lane priority. Dragon, though, finally back, 40 seconds away. MNM, Baron buff starting to dissipate. Ooh, see Barrage looking for a death rush here.
Yeah, Regan's gonna have to pop the Unbreakable Will instantly, but he loses half of his health.
Yeah, and that's really important because it means Regan now has to be a little more sort of tame on some of these engages without that ultimate available. Doesn't have the aftershock, remember. He has the phase rush, so he's a very squishy cow. He is not very meaty.
Do you like the tower getting put up by Tyrex?
Could be enough.
Sundisk is just going to mean it's very hard to step up, and they're not going to be able to clear out the tower now, but MNM have used that time to start up this dragon, and they're going to secure it.
Yeah, they might end up losing this mid tier too, depending on how Barrage want to sort of commit off the mid wave, but seems like they don't want to push up and even take the risk of warring that tower once. Not after how the last fight went, it seems, so just going to retreat into the top side, and they are really angry today. You see how many pings they just threw down in unison on the top side? MNM I'm talking about.
I mean, I did talk about their communication issues. That's what it looked like was happening, and it looks like they recognized that. But they're talking exclusively in pings and emotes.
They don't need voice comms when pings exist. It's the exact same reason why voice comms aren't in solo queue yet.
I'm not gonna lie, the superior way to play League of Legends is chat off emotes and pings.
Yeah, I agree. I think no, pings are kind of necessary, and you just mute people that are like spamming.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
no, I have pings on. It's just chat.
Okay, I thought MNM were gonna look for an engage there on the mid lane, but yeah, I agree. Chat off. Any solo queuers out there, turn chat off. It's really not that necessary, I promise.
It should be. Theoretically, it should be very important.
Theoretically, it should.
But it's not.
But, yeah, it's not. We've not really touched on items much this game. It's kind of just been a slow trickle. One thing to note though, KZ actually finds himself an item advantage over Harry at the moment. He's finished up the Runans, the IE, and the Gale Force, whereas Harry's still looking for that rapid fire cannon. Thomas go all the way on the bottom side, split pushing here. As the rest of his team have to reset to defend this top side shove. It's like just stealing away jungle camps is the MO for MNM right now. And I think they're just going to bide their time till this battle. The Baron's spawning in 15 seconds. There you go. Lost track of time there for a sec.
Yeah, it's going to be probably the next thing to get contested. 3 minutes until the the dragon comes up. So both of these teams got a bit of time until that. MNM are going to go for the resets here. Everyone but Harry, he gets interrupted by that Enchanted Crystallare. So this buys time for Barrage to move in and clear out some of this vision. But what this means is the items. There's going to be that rapid fire cannon getting finished up for Harry. He's 3 items on the center. Death Cap's almost done on Tyrex. He's already doing a lot of damage to that Leandries and Nashers. So it's going to get buffed even harder. Although KZ, Infinity Edge, Hurricane, and Gale Force finished up for himself. So not all doom and gloom.
Not necessarily. And I really do have to say, Barrage haven't actually been able to clear out some of the wards at the very back of their jungle. The Tribush at the top, that red ward at the that red brush ward by the red buff. So if Barrage were to take a fight, could definitely find themselves in a flanking angle where DBO or Tyrex comes in with an ultimate. And it's actually going to be Tyrex on this bottom side. He's dropped the Sun Disc, so potentially committed to this play. But once Thomas Go shows up, definitely not feeling so confident. As, ooh, okay. Baron slide up, teleport coming down too.
Double teleports are getting used as Thomas is joining his team. Baron just above half health, but it is melting. Now Tyrex is here with Harry. This Baron is going so quick. King is going to have to make a big play come down as he looks to get over the wall. Not going to happen in time. Fantastic wall used there. And now KDO going to force Regan to not do anything, actually. He didn't even know.
And honestly, Kazura's walls this game, outside of the ones that he's actually ridden upon, have been quite good. Contrary to, honestly, whenever we've had Talia in the UKLC, their walls have been relatively lackluster. So it's nice to actually see some good wall usage out of the champion. It's certainly not an easy ultimate to use either. As you may think, well, what's so hard about putting up a wall? I promise you, just put a couple of games in Talia, you'll understand straight away. As MNM, they secure the Baron. This dragon coming up in 50 seconds, it means Barrage, they do have priority over this area. But honestly, MNM, they might not even care too much about securing this dragon. They can just honestly shove up mid lane if they really want to.
I actually think they're brute forcing their way through mid, although there's a big collapse coming out. DBL does have teleport, so we'll be able to join on a trigger. Harry, don't step off alone. He's going to walk back to join up the rest of his team.
So
and
MNM,
the recalls.
Yeah, they're recalling. Oh no, they're still staying. So MNM are worried about getting flanked from either side. They don't have enough deep vision on either side to actually recognize which angle. Thank you, observers, for highlighting the vision. Which way Barrage could actually come from. So they're very hesitant about shoving up. Harry, you can't be walking in first. Oh. Okay. Just okay. Tank. Check. Tyrex, don't do it.
Tyrex is going down. The shielding, the healing, not enough, and the solar flare connects them to a couple of members. Health bars on Barrage are a little bit low, though. They need to be careful of that one. Harry doing a lot of work here onto this backline as he jumps in forwards. What was he doing? He cleanses and actually can be able to survive this one as DBL goes in for the Nara, the stride breaker, the 2-man slam back. And now King will lose his life as Thomas flashes forward, gets himself the assassination off of the Harry. Kaziro's going low. He's burning down, but he's not going low enough yet. Finds himself a kill on the tail end, and it is a 4-for-4 fight.
And no one takes the dragon off the back of it, so we could see a repeat. DBL still has the Baron buff. He's looking towards that mid lane tower, which has actually just gone down, so it's the inhib. DBL, he should actually have his passive back up and available to start transforming back to Mega, but he doesn't want to take the risk. KZ is so damn fed, he's got the stopwatch still available. And I mean, it just starts off with Tyrex, unfortunately, getting a little bit too close to that wall. I don't know, it's just a very long con play from Barrage, so they find Tyrex in at the start, so it begins as a 4v5 effectively, but so many tools were blown at the start. The solar flare, the ash arrow to actually take down the mid laner, and Harry steps too far forward. but it's actually a bait. He's got both the summoners, so he drags KDO back into the team. They take down the support, and then the wallop and the Gnar is massive. They manage to find King, Harry does, and unfortunately Tomasko gets a massive shield, so Kazuro isn't able to start focusing on KZ. He manages to get the last stone throw out to take down the Barrage Academy mid laner. And it just ends up being a 4-for-4 where the top laner and the AD carry of Barrage just have to walk away from each other. And on the backside of it all, MNM still pick up the dragon. So it's a free mountain dragon.
A trade up for them.
Yeah, it's definitely still a trade up for them. 3 mountains is gonna make things kind of oppressive, especially when you talk about just how much base resistance you can get off of the most minimal of defensive items. So you talk about Kazura having that Zonya's, instead of it being, oh no, Harry.
They're looking for him. They've been able to find him. That's the CC chain they need. Harry will lose his life. KDO is getting chunked out, though. Burning low. Not quite enough to go down as the wall's been put up, and it's a double kill for King.
Oh.
That's going to be enough.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a very nice seismic shot, and he just died.
This game has been... Harry has not really respected KDO.
No.
A lot at all. Like, he is playing... Like he has cleanse up all the time, and he doesn't, funnily enough, because he keeps having to use it.
It's very much Harry playstyle. He is a very disrespectful player in his positioning. And Barrage have been able to punish it on several occasions now. And on this occasion, unfortunately, Harry, for himself, he didn't have any summoner spells available to get out of the CC. And we just see the wall comes down. It's a very nice wall. It separates Barrage into 2 columns. Even though Regan does drop, you can see the seismic shove. Yeah, just pop. Tomasko's gone. Health bars on Barrage are a little bit too low. They can't really keep that fight going, even if they have the numbers advantage. Doesn't really matter.
Well, the Phantom Dancer pick up here for Harry. Curious to see if we get the... we can't get the Infinity Edge because it's unique with Rage Blade.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, because Infinity Edge buffs your crits and Rage Blade turns them off, so there's no point. Interesting to see what we get next out of Harry. Does he go for a defensive item and work with the magic resist and the bonuses that he'll get from his Mountain Soul? Or is he going to go into maybe a QSS?
Honestly, I don't know much about the center build past the free item. Like, I should actually know, because there's been quite a few games in the LEC. Particularly one that rings my mind was a G2 game where Reckless was on the center and I think had like 200 plus souls.
Harry's got 78.
Yeah, Harry's got 78, so he's not been doing a great job. It has been a pretty messy game, so he's just not necessarily had the time to do so. MNM finally sieging on this mid inhibitor. They want to take it down. I don't think the inhibitor's been taken down once so far. Oh no, we're getting the fight up. Who's gonna do it?
Well, it's going to be the Ash Arrow in. Regan's looking to play interrupt for the moment. The shields are there. Their backup's down.
Look at the raid!
Oh my lord. Aragon is just cut down.
Top side.
Meanwhile, on the top side of the fight, Thomas going very, very low. Here comes Tarex. Shuffles one. The Realm Ward's going to get used by Thomas and he is outie. But now it's KZ cut off by the walls, cut off from his team. He does have a GA. But Tarex will chase him away from his own base. And with the wave, they may just look to close this one out here. Kings can take a lot of damage. DBL goes in for the start. Into the Nexus. The Boulder Toss will secure the next one. And Thomas uses the stopwatch to get the start points on the Overload. But he has to flash away as Tarex unable to get the kill onto him. KZ pumping a little bit more out. MNM's health bars are so painfully low. So they get in Senna's puddle. And they swim away to safety.
Swim away, and honestly, heroics from Tomasko. And King, even though he dropped down, the important thing is that he was focused on, and it meant the towers weren't being hit by the side of MNM. And now they're going to be looking for this Baron with no jungler. It seems relatively doable. Tomasko and KZ, they're going to be on their way. Aragon's going to teleport down to try and lay down some poke. But look at the Baron, it's already gone.
It's dead. It's already dead.
Now, the only positive thing for Barrage here is that if they make it into this bottom side river in time, they can lay down some preliminary vision, but honestly, MNM can just walk in and clear it. Starts off with Kazuro getting caught by this Ash Arrow, but Regan plays enough interrupt, and Aragon has flash, I believe. Oh no, it's just coming up, so wasn't able to flash away from that damage. King fortunately has the flash and Gale Force away from that Emperor's Divide. KDO, not so fortunate for himself, and this wall again just means KZ can't kite up. He has
and look at Harry's build as we come out of the replay. He's got that kill. He's gone, and Thomas is popped.
Honestly, that's just going to be Soul. I don't think Barrage can necessarily contest. And I mean, realistically, it's not an Inferno Soul, it's not an Ocean Soul. I think you can fold your arms, grit your teeth, just say, all right, we give this one over. It's not as oppressive as those two other souls, so it's just going to be the shield. And whilst, yes, it's definitely going to be a bit of a pain in the backside to get through, it's better than contesting and just losing multiple members in the game off the back of a fight from this position. So correct call, I personally believe, from Barrage here to give over this soul. And it's going to be about whether Thomas Go realistically can stay alive to clear out some of these waves. With the Baron buff there, it's going to be so painful to actually get through the minion health bars, as you imagine that bottom lane inhibitor is likely going to drop on the siege. Barrage, they have to try and engage, actually. They have a teleport flank ward. They have to try and engage on this 4. That's the only realistic way they can find a fight. DBL's about to time out of Mega 2. But it seems like the wall again. It's just going to separate Barrage.
It's too big, and Harry providing the sustain, and now a lot of damage. He's got the QSS, the Cleanser Flash. He's so hard to catch. It's only really Tyrex they can look for. And providing he uses his shuffle right, he should be all right. So, MNM looking to make a recovery from their tail end of their season. One last inhibitor lane left for them, the top side. Got a 7,000 gold lead, although the gold lead's slightly irrelevant at this point as we're nearing full builds. You can see the individual gold. Harry is actually down to KZ, who is up a level on him right now. Has still got that Guardian Angel available as well.
Though, I'm actually unsure if KZ's full build or not. But Tyrex...
no, he still needs to get the Lord Doms.
Yeah, Tyrex still sitting on that Verdian barrier. I believe that's what that MR is.
Verdant barrier.
Close.
Is it barrier?
Yeah, it's definitely barrier. 100% it's called barrier.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I promise.
Green necklace.
Free necklace, yeah. It's a green version of what I wear every day. Hey, there you go. MNM finding that top tier. Oh, Kazero. Ash Arrow.
He's getting CC'd, but there's no one to follow up. And with the shield from the railgun, it's pretty big. And that is KDO getting chunked out heavily. Able to jump away as Harry was caught by the Solar Flare. DBL's about to gnar out. And Barrage, they just have to run away. There's a Sun Disc behind MNM as well. And these towers are liquefying to MNM right now. They've got supers pushing up in the bot side. A wave of supers coming in mid lane fairly soon as well. And Thomas getting chunked out a little bit by those Sand Soldiers. This is the crash. They don't have the Baron buff, though.
Baron buff.
Looks like the bot lane inhibitor will be respawning fairly soon.
I think it's the mid lane. Oh, another really nice wall.
Yeah, KDO jumps in, and that might just be to his doom. The shields are big, but
he's gone.
Harry's damage is even fatter. Thomas Go gets chunked out after a couple of auto attacks, and the first tower is down. Aragon getting chunked, and Harry gets the kill. King jumps in forward, able to finish him up, and Harry is just putting the work in now, pumping that damage into these crucial members. It's only KZ, it's only Thomas Go. They're capable of a lot, but they don't have a front line to provide it. They're trying to jump away as Thomas is just being CC'd through and taken out. KZ is resurrecting, and MNM have done it. They have found their win.
They've broken the lost streak, Hit Brain, and not only that, it could have come at a more crucial time. They now have a 2-0 in the head-to-head over Barrage. They've tied them in the standings now, and that means if they can win tomorrow as well, it really puts them in good standings for a playoff position. And for Bulldogs, the closest other contender to MNM, don't forget, they've got to play Resolve and London.
Yeah.
Bulldog, it's a very tough weekend for them. So MNM, they've finally broken their lost streak. You're welcome for the curse, boys. I put it on Barrage. They finally pulled through. It's good to see this version of MNM back, albeit Barrage definitely gave them a run for their money for a lot of that game. It was just unfortunate oversteps and very good responses from MNM on some of the engages from Barrage, and it just came down to that fight at that 20-minute mark, which handed MNM, unfortunately, that Baron over. Just a bit of a coincidence fight, which rolled into a much bigger snowball.
That game was definitely a lot closer than you probably would have expected if you'd watched the last few weeks of the UKLC, because Barrage have definitely been outperforming what MNM have been doing as of late, and that was the MNM we expected. That was the MNM we had at the beginning of the season. So really, really big win for them. Looking to try and get themselves that 2-0 week and keep their dreams of maybe getting third place alive. But for now, we're going to throw to a quick break, and when we're back, we'll have a natter with Harry about that game. So we'll see you in a second.
Stay sweet summer Sitting in the high, we caught a fever for two. Go together like neon in the night. I know I'm better with you. I know that you see me the way that I am, floating on a feeling with no other plan. You make me feel good, lost in the moment. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good, love like I'm falling. Know that I'm all in you every time. You make me feel good. 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 Here by my side, I'm in love with every little thing that you do. You're my paradise. As long as I got you, I know my sky will be blue. I know that you see me. I know you see me the way that I am. The way that I am. Floating on a feeling with no other plan. You make me feel good, lost in the moment. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good, love like I'm falling. Know that I'm all in you every time. You make me feel good. 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 You make me feel good, lost in the moment. You make me feel good, hearts running wild. You make me feel good, love like I'm falling. Know that I'm all in you every time. You make me feel good.
On a night like this, we are something special. We are. On a night like this, we are gonna make it so far, so far. And I don't know where we're going to, but I'm okay 'cause I've got you. Yes, it feels right like this, dancing with you under the stars, the stars. On a night like
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. We're coming fresh off an MNM win, who definitely needed that one. And we actually have the AD carry Harry standing by for this chat. Harry, how you doing, mate? You right?
We are a lot better today. I think we're very happy with that. Everyone was screaming at the end of the call, so we're over the moon.
I bet. Was that game fun for you, playing into Ashley owner? Because every time something hit you, you just stand still until your screen went grey.
If you saw in the bot lane, they laid the CC so well that I could not move from the time that they hit the arrow to the Leona ult to the Q to the E. They actually played it really well, but it's just really boring. For me, anyway.
Unsurprising. Still the same Harry from last split, all the disrespect from all the big elements. I do want to say that obviously last split had the same scenario happen where 2 out of the final 3 weeks, you know, you guys basically lost almost every game. running up to the final week, and then obviously 2-0 to get back into playoffs. What's the development path been like, you know, sort of going from that phase of kind of running it down in every stage game to at least now here today, looking a little more like the MNM of weeks 1 through 3?
I think we got too comfortable because I think we found it quite easy, with no disrespect, in the first couple of weeks. Excuse me. But the last couple of days we've been looking at, the main thing is the comm issues. I think they got too comfortable in the way that we were calling, and then you end up dropping off your knowledge, like you're doing this, and this is steps, and then if you get comfortable you start missing steps, etc. The last 2 weeks we've just gone back to basics, and it's worked out really well. Our scrim results have been doing really well. We showed you on stage, it's worked out.
You look so happy. Look at you.
We're
Smiling
so
away,
relieved.
grinning
We're
away.
so relieved because it's a struggle in these types of games, because you know if you lose it, we might not be playing together as a team for much longer. And this team's incredible to work with. They're all really good people, so it would have been sad.
Really wholesome. That's actually really wholesome to hear. So there's only a couple of spots at playoffs. Obviously, that's how it works. Providing you guys get in, let's just assume that you guys are getting in.
We
Who
will.
do you think are going to be other teams joining? Obviously, Resolve is a
Obviously, Resolve.
At that point, it's basically just asking who do you think would snag the final spot, because realistically, London shouldn't actually drop out from playoffs.
Who's the contenders for the 4th?
You've got Bulldog, but they've got London and Resolve this weekend, so it's not really looking too great for them. And then Barrage and basically Enclave, so I guess you're picking between the two.
I think it'll be Enclave. If Barrage can bounce back from today, if that's what you're saying, they have to play one more, then it will be Barrage. But if they take this loss too heavily, then it will be Enclave. But they're both really good teams. They both play really well.
I think we got a lot of very good teams in this league. To be fair, I think it proves that because of how tight it is, bar everything, including Resolve, involving Resolve at the moment. They do seem a step ahead, but you know, playoffs they could get challenged in a new format. So we'll have to see how that goes. Harry, really great having a chat with you, mate. Congratulations on that win, much deserved, and probably a weight off your shoulders after finding that one there, mate. Good luck with your games coming up tomorrow. And we'll
Thank you very much.
Right?
See you later.
All right, Jamada. So there was a player in that game. There were a lot of players in that game, but you only have to pick one. So talk me through your favorite.
Yeah, I've got a play where we're not gonna aid Harry's ego, though he did look like a kid in Toys R Us. But yeah, so play coming in, you can see what just happened here is Barrage, they forfeited the dragon. They said, okay, we're not going to walk into the river down here. There's too much control, too much vision from MNM, as you can see in the minimap. There's no vision for Barrage, so they just forfeit it. They have the Herald in pocket and they take down the mid-tier 1. And they go for this charge here because they're able to sort of keep MNM on this path where they have to walk back through into this very awkward choke where they can very easily be poked down, they can very easily be engaged on. But then this is where you can see already the faint lines of the Talia wall come down, and it's going to be so pivotal for this fight because what it ends up doing is it ends up locking in. Oh, that was a bit weird. It ends up locking in, as you can see, these key members in the backside. Oh, my keyboard is so laggy. But it means Thomas has to flash away. Regan's buying all the time on the backside, and King is kind of forced to not really lay down any damage anywhere. Whilst Harry's kind of chunked, he doesn't really care too much, and he can eventually chunk out King, as you can see here. And the engage from MNM is kind of tempered, but once Barrage actually sort of walk a little bit too far forward, you can see the immediate flash from DBL and it's just a massive gnar into the wall. MNM are able to follow up, and King and KDO basically have to run out tails between their legs. And it results in MNM effectively being able to get the Baron off the back of a Dragon take and a sort of a not overzealous attempt to take down the mid-tier 2, but just an attempt to get that Herald charge in. Just because of coincidence of time, it means they lose the Baron, and off the back of that, it was a really big snowball.
Really, really big snowball, really, really big fight, and honestly, a massive, massive win for MNM. Keeps their hopes and dreams alive. Now, we're going to throw to a quick break, and after that, it's going to be Demise versus Envision. See you in a second.
The